Welcome in, S0ner Sports Radio, episode number 11. We are in here getting it down and dirty. We will go ahead and visit the S0ner Sportsbook after we review Week 10 and give you our Week 11 analysis for college football. Ohio State versus Michigan, biggest game of the year. We'll take a discussion leading into whether or not either of those teams can survive the gauntlet they have ahead of them. We will re-rank the top 10. We'll discuss the college football playoff, go over our locks of the week. And look, it's that time again, college basketball underway. We'll visit the National Basketball Association, get all those things squared away. Joining me once again is Cole Murphy in the house. Mr. Murphy, how are we doing this afternoon?
Doing great, man. How are we doing?
We are doing
over there.
We're doing fine on our neck of the woods over here. Look, big weekend. Let's just jump right into it. College football was everywhere on TVs across the nation. Let's hit with the big one everyone's talking about this week is Georgia getting the 14-point win over Tennessee, 27-13. Tennessee scoring that touchdown late in the fourth. They were down 27-6 most of the way. What was your takeaway from the game down in between the hedges?
Hey, I mean, Georgia's defense is the best, I believe, in college football right now. So, I mean, they had a great game. And Tennessee, I mean, I just feel like they had a bad game there. I mean, I don't think their offense ever got going there. So, I mean, I don't think Tennessee played their best. But, I mean, hats off to Georgia. I mean, they had a heck of a game.
Yeah, big game there. I mean, Tennessee, they really took one kind of on the noggin there, but I mean, that effectively knocks them out of SEC title contention here, unless Georgia loses one against Georgia Tech or slips up somewhere where we just don't see it coming. Is this really kind of where the road ends for Tennessee's college football playoff hopes?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like it always gets crazy at the end of the year. So, I think they could maybe sneak in if something crazy happened, but maybe TCU loses a couple, and then I mean, of course, Michigan's going to get knocked out. So I mean, maybe Tennessee sneaks in there. It'd be fun to see. I mean, I would like to see them in the playoffs, but if they just miss it and get a good bowl game, good season for Tennessee. I mean, hats off to Josh Heupel. He had a great season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything to be disappointed in. You beat Alabama. That was a big stepping stone for you if you're a Volunteers fan. So yeah, I think the takeaway is overall positive. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the SEC and where it shakes out a little later. Moving on, Ohio State took on Northwestern on the road, and Northwestern proved to be a little bit of a problem for the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes get the win by 14, 21-7. Northwestern did score the first touchdown of this game halfway through the first quarter and didn't score the rest of the way. Really disappointing for Pat Fitzgerald and that company. When the leading passer in the game, though, has 79 yards and plays for Northwestern, I mean, C.J. Stroud played terrible. Only 50 passing yards in a whole game. The only person that had notable stats was Marvin Harrison Jr., their wide receiver, had 51 receiving yards. Everywhere else across the board in yardage was led by Northwestern. Their running back had more running yards than Ohio State's with 122 for Evan Hull. So, I mean, and when the starting quarterback for Northwestern only throws for 79 yards and that's the leading passer for the game, not looking good for C.J. Stroud's Heisman hopes. And I said last week going into this game, I like Northwestern to cover, and boy did they ever, because they were 40-point dogs going into this game, and to hold Ohio State to 21 points and make them look really bad in that really bad weather environment. The wind was really swirling. It wasn't really a game where you could pass. So I mean, they did try to run the ball, but without their starting running back, Ohio State kind of struggled. What was your takeaways, and is C.J. Stroud's Heisman hopes in the toilet?
I mean, you always have a couple of bad games throughout the season. I mean, they still got the 14-point win or plus 14 win. So I don't think Ohio State is a bad team. Of course, the weather did have a bad little effect. I mean, I think he's still in the Heisman hopes. He'll probably be in New York, so I don't think he's out of it. And then I think Ohio State still has a great chance this season.
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, one bad game isn't the end all, but 50 yards is pretty
Yeah,
bad. I mean, that's
yeah, it was a
that's
bad game.
for a whole game. Like, didn't get hurt, played the whole entire game. Like, that's
Yeah,
bad. I mean,
yeah,
now, granted that I mean, we've seen bad performances in the past, but by someone who is probably in the top two as far as conversations for this trophy, that's kind of embarrassing. And I don't know if the
yeah,
voters are going to really like that performance. It might stick out to them a little bit. But it'll really depend on how bad they beat Michigan if they do. I mean, I think that's really what it comes down to. If he can look really good against Michigan, no one's going to remember Northwestern. I mean, somebody
yeah,
might bring it up to try to bolster their point to not pick him to win the Heisman, but no one's going to be
yeah,
thinking about that because all they're thinking at this point is win the Big Ten championship, go to the playoff. You've already taken care of Michigan. I mean, that's what people will think if that's what happens. So I think you're
definitely.
right. I think it comes down to that, and I think if he does that, then people will forget this game and move on. Speaking of
Yeah,
moving
I
on,
agree.
let's move on to another huge game in which both of us ended up being right, with Notre Dame just
Yeah,
destroying Clemson
yeah,
35-14, a pick six, too many turnovers. They started the game with Cade Klubnik, their backup starting the season. He started this game, and then DJ came in to try to relieve him midway through the third and threw a pick six and just kind of sealed Clemson's fate. And does Clemson have worse quarterback play than Oklahoma? Can we say that now? What are your thoughts on this game?
well, first to start, I mean, probably they're evenly. I mean, they're both pretty bad. It's been a bad year for both. So, I mean, equal in that standpoint. But I mean, yeah, Clemson. I'm glad that they fell. I mean, I've been saying it for weeks now. I just was hoping Notre Dame would finally show that Clemson's a fraud. I mean, I never liked Clemson this year. I just because I mean their schedule's soft. I mean, they've had some close games with some mediocre teams. I just I haven't been a big Clemson fan this year, even though I don't have a problem with them or the team. It's just I don't think Clemson deserves to be in the playoff at the end of the year. I just don't think they're a good competition. So I like to see them fall, and I'm glad they lost to Notre
Yeah,
Dame that week.
yeah. I don't think they
Yeah.
would have competed very well with any of these teams. Maybe TCU. I could see them
Yeah,
hanging around.
they wouldn't even go. They wouldn't even even if they were both in it, they wouldn't even play each other because Clemson would be 3 and then TCU would be 4.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right. But I'm saying if
Yeah,
they were to in some magical way, if that were to
yeah,
have
yeah.
panned out, I feel like
That would
Clemson.
be
I feel
that
like the
would be
game would be good.
amazing.
Yeah. So when
No,
Texas
I
loses
got
this
TCU all
weekend,
day though.
so when Texas loses this, or when TCU loses this weekend to Texas, are we gonna have
Ah,
TCU Clemson play each other in a bowl
here
game?
we
Is that what's
go.
gonna
Here we
happen?
go. Here we go. First off, not losing this weekend. I know you love those Longhorns, even though you're hating on them
Vegas
at the
likes him
beginning of the
too.
season.
Vegas likes him too. I'm not going too against the grain.
I know
Uh,
that, but I'm saying at the beginning of the season, you were talking trash on the Longhorns, and now
I
you're going
was.
for them. I'm
Well,
like,
I mean, it's just the moment, right? Like it's set up. The stage is
go
set up.
frogs.
We'll
What is the
get there.
theme? Go
We'll
frogs.
get there. We'll
Go
get there. We'll
frogs.
get there. We'll get there. All
Go
right.
frogs.
Well, let's talk about them. Let's talk about those frogs. They get the win over Texas Tech, 34-24. They cover by half a point, so good job picking TCU as one of your locks of the week. Props to you on that. I didn't want to touch that game, and I'm glad I kind of didn't because I probably would have been leaning towards Texas Tech. But here's another game, Cole, where TCU is down in the fourth quarter, 20-17, or what 21-17, and we were looking at each other, kind of going, "Is this going to be it? Like, is Texas Tech going to be able to hold this on in the fourth quarter?" And they could not, and they get outscored. Um, 17-3 in the last quarter. Is TCU just a fourth quarter team? Like, are we just going to accept the fact that they're probably just going to look like trash for 3.5 quarters and then just flip the switch?
Possibly. I mean, that's what they've been doing recently. But I mean, I think TCU has enough offensive firepower to blow up even in the first, second quarter. But I mean, yeah, they've been that's what they've been looking like as of recent. So I mean, probably. I
Yeah,
think
I
they
mean,
both play.
but has it kind of also helped them that they're down in these games against teams that may not be very good? I mean, you're talking about West Virginia, Texas Tech. I mean, you're talking about teams. I mean, Kansas State. I guess is good.
Yeah.
I can't, I don't know if I'd really lump them in with Texas Tech and West Virginia, but you were still down in that game as well until Adrian Martinez, or sorry, until Will Howard decided to turn into Will Howard because he played that whole game. Um, I just think that they've kind of gotten fortunate, but sometimes you need luck to kind of propel yourself into these situations where you're in the college football playoff discussion. So I don't really hate that they've struggled against lesser teams. It just is concerning heading into this weekend, and we'll touch on that when we talk about that game against Texas. But I think you're right. I think it was a good win. They needed it. I'm glad that they're now in the discussion at that 4 spot because I think they deserve it to this point.
Yeah.
Moving on to one of the most exciting games of the weekend. Boy, why did we not lead off with this? LSU beats Alabama in overtime. They go for 2. They get it. After Alabama just kicks the field goal, they decide we don't want to play another overtime. Finds the open man, bottom right pylon, hits him right in the chest, and he falls right over the goal line. 32-31 Tigers, and they jump from 10 all the way to 7 after jumping from 18 all the way to 10. So they've been making moves down there in Baton Rouge. What was your takeaway from Big Dick Brian Kelly going for 2 to get the win against Nick Saban?
A big win there. I mean, had definitely a great job to LSU with that win there. That's tough for Alabama. I mean, that's 2 this season, and by just just a couple players would have gone Alabama's way. They would have won both games. So, I mean, too close, last second losses. I think it's funny how every time Alabama loses, it's like a big, huge deal. But I mean, that's how they've been the last decade. So I mean, uh, Alabama just a rough season, obviously for them. Now out of the playoffs, out of the playoff picture. But I mean, LSU big win. I didn't think they're gonna get it done. I went all against them, but they got it done. So congrats, big nuts, Brian Kelly.
Yeah, big nuts. Got it done there. Other notable games: Oregon beat Colorado 49-10. The Buffaloes are terrible. UCLA blows out Arizona State. I say blows out, only won by 14, 50-36. Their defense is allowing a lot of points. That USC UCLA game is going to be fantastic. Texas goes ahead and upsets Kansas State 34-27. That was kind of a shock for a lot of people. I had Texas winning that game. You had Kansas State winning, so we were not on the same page there. Texas was favored by 2.5 heading into that game. They obviously get the win by 7, so they covered, and it was on your way to your terrible 1-4 weekend. Trust me, we'll dog you for that here in a minute. But overall takeaway from this, Texas priming themselves for a matchup with TCU this weekend, looking good.
Yeah, I still don't think they're gonna get it done, but I mean, you got hopes in them, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean it was a good win. I don't really have much else to say other than I thought the better team talent wise won that game. I think Kansas State's the better team, but I think talent kind of overdid Kansas State, and you kind of see that from the Wildcats because they're not going to get your 4 or 5-star guys. They're more of 3-star, maybe 4-star guys here and there, but mainly lower star recruits. So I mean, and not that you can't turn those players into great players. We see it every single year, but that it was what it was, and I think it was the Texas recruiting kind of flexing on them a little bit. Moving on down the list, Utah takes care of Arizona 45-20. Penn State gets the win over Indiana 45-14. UNC was in a dogfight with Virginia. They ended up winning though 31-28 in the waning moments of that one. And then another kind of shock, but not really considering Spencer Sanders didn't play. Kansas blows out Oklahoma State 37-16. I just think this came down to OSU not having their starting quarterback. I don't know what else you take from that. I mean, congrats to Kansas. Great job. They stormed the field. I get it. You haven't beat Oklahoma State in 17 years. We get it. But I mean, that's been their whole season this year is they haven't been winning games for the last decade, and this year they're winning games, so they're just going to storm the field every single Big 12 win because they haven't won this many Big 12 games in 15 years. Yeah, so I mean, I don't hate them for it, but it's I just feel like that's just the reason Oklahoma State lost, hands down. What are your thoughts?
What so Gundy started on that one?
No, that was the big storyline. Was Gunnar Gundy had been playing second team and taking second team snaps all season, and then I guess he
Yeah.
just didn't have a good week in practice, and Mike Gundy made the tough decision to bench his kid and put in Garrett Rangel. Garrett Rangel came in and threw for 304 yards, looked pretty good, but threw two picks early and kind of put OSU in a hole, and they weren't really able to climb out of that. And the running game just wasn't working, and Kansas State's running back had 224 yards, so he was just running all over that defense. But that defense was out on the field a lot because the third string quarterback, who, I guess is taking second team reps this week because he had a better week in practice. That's my assumption. Um, uh, you know, uh, that was the situation.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. I think you would have won if Sanders was in there. That is tough going third string. Quarterback there, a little bit honestly. I mean, I get it. They've obviously just now started to win, but it's a little embarrassing to storm the field against Oklahoma State. I'm not saying no credit to Oklahoma State. It's just it's unnecessary. Like they don't have to storm the field. Like y'all's third string quarterback was in. Like it's just like it'd be one thing if Sanders was in and it was a close game, but like I think what was the final on that one?
37-16, 21-point
30,
victory
yeah,
for
so it's
Kansas.
like 21-point win. I'm just like, wasn't even close. Like, honestly, it's a little embarrassing to storm the field there. I just think they should kind of relax a little in minds. But yeah, my takeaway on it.
Yeah. Uh,
Hopefully, Sanders is back soon.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's definitely going to be playing this week against Iowa State. I guarantee you that. Um, In other games of ranked teams, Tulane, they beat Tulsa 27-13. Syracuse loses again, 3 games in a row. They lose to Pittsburgh 19-9. I said when they lost to Clemson, I said they might not win a game the rest of the year because they were just demoralized and probably gave everything against that Clemson team and just couldn't get it done. And then my Wake Forest Demon Deacons, what is happening to them? They lose to NC State 30-21.
Oh,
It was rough for them this weekend. UCF gets the win over Memphis 35-28. That was all your ranked matchups uh, for last week. So I mean, a good week. We'll touch on Baylor beating Oklahoma 38-35. That game coming down to just OU's offense not being able to do anything in the fourth quarter. It was just rough. Another home loss. The Palace doesn't look as, you know, I just remember a time where you just didn't beat Oklahoma at home, and now it doesn't exist anymore. It's
yeah.
sad, but I think it's good for college football in a whole because that means any given week, you could lose at home. But it's kind of sad.
That's why I picked Oklahoma. Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
That's
no,
why I
go,
picked
yeah.
Oklahoma. They had it used to be like that. I mean, like with the Oklahoma home field advantage, like the guys usually play better. Like the crowd gets going. Like it's a Gaylord like memorial. Like I was like, I bet Oklahoma would have pulled it out, but I'm surprised Baylor came into Norman and beat the Sooners. It's been a very crazy.
Yeah. So let's get into this week. As we chug along here. Um, we got some big games this weekend. Tennessee is playing Missouri at home, so I think they should probably take care of business there. Look, LSU has to go on the road and play Arkansas. Arkansas not been playing well recently, but I just have a hard time with LSU thinking that they're the seventh best team in the country right now. I don't have a problem with it per se, considering they were 10th last week and beat a good, a good Alabama team that was ranked ahead of them. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think it was the jump from like 18 to 10 after the week before that, beating Kentucky or some shit. I just, it was just. I don't know. It just seems like Arkansas is kind of primed to come up and bite the Tigers in the ankle. I don't know how you feel about that, considering
Uh,
how poor Arkansas has played, and you were pretty high on them coming into the season, admittingly. So I mean, what is your
oh yeah,
take, being
definitely.
the resident Woo Pig Suey guy?
I think Arkansas's defense definitely fell off from last year. Like their defense was playing lights out, and big time stops. Like they're ranked in for the whole college football, leading in a couple categories. So it's tough to see that how they've had played this season, and their offense has not been near as explosive as they were last year. I don't think the quarterback has put up even half the numbers he was putting up last year. So their offense isn't. I think they lost a couple skills guys, but like, yeah, they fell off completely.
I mean, what do you give them chances wise to beat LSU this weekend? I mean, not a lot of people are giving
Yeah,
them.
I don't think they get. Yeah, I think LSU is just a better team in general, but I don't think Arkansas has the firepower to get it done. And I think, I mean, I could see where you're saying there could be upset coming off that Alabama high. Like it's just obviously they're still probably geeked up about it,
Yeah.
catch them
Oh,
off guard.
absolutely,
But
absolutely.
yeah, like, yeah, I could see it happening an upset, but I don't think Arkansas is a good enough team to beat LSU. They have better players. I mean, they're gonna come. They realize who they have another game. So I mean, yeah, I got LSU here, but
Yeah.
I could see why you're saying there's an upset there.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, LSU is only a 3.5 point favorite. I mean, Vegas thinks this game is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think, and
Yeah.
and that's just the point I'm trying to make is just Arkansas has played poor, but it's one of those things where they haven't lost a lot of games by a lot of points. You know what I'm saying? They're
Yeah.
like, we've kept our games close against terrible teams that we should be beating, but we're not losing by 40 to these teams. We're losing by 3. We're losing by 6. We're losing by 7. You know, I mean,
Hmm.
it's one of those things. I'm just gonna give you a little rundown of their schedule because I think this is kind of important to look at because so far these last 3 weeks when we've looked at schedules, we've made correct picks based on the quality of
The
schedule and
schedule.
how they've performed. So let's just give you a breakdown here.
Nice.
They beat Cincinnati in week 1, 31-24. That's a good win. They beat South Carolina 44-30. Should have done it. Good win, right? Beat Missouri State 38-27. Got to win that game. They did. You lost to Texas A&M by 2. Bad loss, but at the time Texas A&M was ranked fairly high. So I don't really hate that for them at that point, right? Lost to Alabama by 23. It's Alabama, not really going to hold that against you, right? Mississippi State was ranked at the time and blew the shit out of them, 40-17. So right there,
Wow.
Mississippi State and Alabama not looking good, right? But then you bounce back. You beat a ranked BYU team 52-35. Your offense wakes up against the Mormons. Looking good, right? Second, next week you play Auburn. Again, 40 plus points. They score 41. They only allow 27 from a bad Auburn team. Don't hate it. And then you have last week. You lost to Liberty. They're 21-19. Now, mind you, Liberty, not bad record wise. Not a bad
They're not
team.
bad.
Um,
Yeah, they're not
they're
bad.
6-1 now. They've only lost one game. Um, that's kind of the takeaway from that is you might have beat Liberty, but Liberty beat them on a goal line stand. Arkansas was trying to score from the 1 and Liberty stopped them. So I
Wow.
mean that's how that game ended. And the only loss Liberty has is to Wake Forest by 1 point. That's the only
Yeah,
loss
that's
they
crazy.
have. Now they haven't played anybody. I mean they've played Southern Miss, UAB, Akron, Old Dominion, UMass, Gardner Webb, and BYU and Arkansas. They've got UConn, Virginia Tech, and New Mexico State to end the season. They could win all 3 of those. They could only end the season with 1 loss. The only one I'm looking at is Virginia Tech. I think that might be one where they have to, do something like they did last week and keep it close. But I think they have New Mexico State in the bag. I think they've got this week in the bag. But what I'm trying to make is Arkansas has a bigger chance that people think going in this week. And I think that'll be a game to watch. I think that spread is right. I think if LSU wins this game, they win it by a field goal, maybe 4 to 7 points. I mean, it could happen because I think I agree with you. They're more talented. But does that kind of open your eyes to more of a possibility of
Yeah.
Arkansas doing something?
Yeah, definitely. I can see what you're saying there, but I mean, last year's Arkansas would have blew
Oh
Liberty
yeah,
out the water.
oh yeah,
Last year's Arkansas would have beat Mississippi State,
yeah,
Texas A&M as well, probably. So I
yeah.
mean, this is like, yeah,
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think last year's team was definitely better, and I think you were kind of
a
hinging
lot
on
better.
more of that momentum to carry on into this season, and it's kind of
Yeah, they got like
let you down.
mostly the same guys almost. They almost got like the same guys.
Yeah, it was. They did not have a lot of guys leave. So that was kind of the surprise, and they were ranked preseason in the
They were
teens,
good
and
last year.
they just kind of fallen off. Other games going on. Notre Dame is now ranked. They're going to go play Navy on the road. Kind of like Navy in that one. I mean, just because it's Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's favored by 15. Navy not an offensive juggernaut this season, so that could be on point. I'm not saying they couldn't keep the engine rolling there. Um, Not really anything else to know. OU and West Virginia. Let's talk about it, I guess, a little bit. OU traveling to Morgantown on the road. West Virginia coming off of a 41-14 loss to Iowa State, which people think are the last two teams probably in the conference playing each other that week, and West Virginia did not play well. OU is favored in this game, which I'm not surprised at all, but they're only favored by 7.5. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I like that. I like the spread on that. And I mean, I think OU is gonna go down there and obviously coming off that loss last week, I think they're gonna play better football and um, I think the guys are just gonna have that road win or go take it and make it a road win and have it be a turnaround and hopefully do good for the rest of the season. Have a good Bedlam game next week. So yeah, I think this would be a momentum builder for OU, and I just don't think West Virginia is good enough to beat OU
Yeah, I mean,
at
fair
all.
fair point. I mean, they've had their weeks where they've played up to competition, but this may not be one of them. I can see that 7.5 point spread. I kind of like it. Um, I kind of with you on this. I mean, as much as I like West Virginia in this spot, that spread is pretty big. Like if it was OU -3, I would feel a little more confident and leaning towards the Mountaineers more heavily. They're gonna need some help. They could definitely get it from this OU team if they turn the ball over enough. Something like that happens. Um, it's gonna be rowdy down there for sure. West Virginia
Yeah,
always likes to
I
have a
think OU
shot.
is going to play better football coming off of Baylor. I mean, they're going to Baylor's a solid team, and I mean that's who they played last week, and it was close. I mean, I think West Virginia is just going to be an easier defense for them. I think Gabriel's is going to read them, and they're going to take care of business by at least 7.
All right, I like your confidence. I'm not hating on that at all. I think that's one of those games.
Got Bedlam next week.
And we'll see. They're not releasing the kickoff time for any games on the 19th until after all these games are done. So it'll depend on whether OU wins and OSU wins, whether or not they get a good time slot. It's seeming like 11 o'clock a.m. Bedlam could be happening. Those tickets may
Ouch,
be cheap. If both
man!
the if
Because
both if
I
both
think I'm
teams
going this
lose,
year.
yeah, if both teams lose, it'll definitely be an 11 a.m. kick. Even if OSU just wins, it might still be just an
Oh,
11.
that, bruh. I think this is the year I'm gonna go to Bedlam, and that'd be awful if I go at 11 a.m., bro. The
Yeah,
year I go to Bedlam.
yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So yeah, that's
Not
kind
a
of
7 o'clock kickoff, guys.
not this year. Uh, Moving on, Nebraska's on the road to play Michigan. I think Nebraska's going to get just smacked around. Um, no shot there. The spread on that one, just to give you a little glimpse into how bad that one they think is going to be. Michigan's favored by 30. So I mean, I don't know if they're going to cover that 30, but I mean, they're definitely probably going to win this game. Um,
Thompson has a better game against Michigan than people are thinking. I think he holds them underneath
he's not the
30.
starter anymore.
Oh, what?
Yeah, they put
Really?
Smothers in. Smothers started last week for them. He's been bencherinoed. So your boy Casey Thompson not looking good up there in Lincoln for him. Probably should have gone to OU. Um, um,
Well,
yeah,
that's awkward.
yeah.
Let's go Michigan. Wow, I thought he was still playing up there. That's tough.
Yeah, that was the first week he didn't start. So
I didn't even
we'll
know that.
we'll
I
see
thought he
if
was
he
still
starts
playing.
this week. I mean, he could still start. Smothers didn't play great in that loss they had last week, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Casey Thompson again. This is the big ranked game this week. Alabama on the road to Oxford to play Ole Miss, number 9 versus number 11. Um, I still think Alabama is favored in this game, as far as I know. Um,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a good look at it here. I've passed it. Where are you? Alabama. Where are you? Oh, Alabama's an 11.5 point favorite against Ole Miss, and I like that for them. I think they can take care of Ole Miss. I think they're a little overranked. What are your takeaways from this matchup?
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna go Bama here. I just think they're gonna.
Yeah, I I don't have anything to say other than Bama's probably
Yeah,
going to roll. I think
yeah.
I think this is a prime spot for them to regain some confidence and get back into the conversation. If these three teams lose and they're at the number 4 spot, I think that conversation could happen after this weekend.
Because Bama still has a chance to make it on their side, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I
Wow, that would be crazy. That would be crazy if they played Georgia in the SEC
yeah,
championship and beat Georgia.
I am looking. I
Oh,
am looking. Yeah, I'm looking right
oh,
now. Just give me a second here. Um,
oh my gosh, that's the craziest season ever.
so so here's the SEC right now. So so to be honest, here's what needs to happen. Arkansas has to beat LSU. That's number one.
Hmm.
That's got to happen
Oh yeah,
because
for sure.
because LSU and Alabama are on the same side. So LSU has the tiebreaker, and right now, um, with Alabama having 2 conference losses, um, but one of those is not on their the west side. One of those is Tennessee, which is on the other side. So technically, they've only got 1 loss on
Okay.
their side of the conference. So
Yeah.
not so as I said, LSU has to beat Arkansas, and
Okay.
then Alabama has to beat Ole Miss. Um, and that's how Alabama would get back to playing in the SEC championship game
Which
against
could
Georgia.
possibly make them back into the playoff picture.
Correct.
Wow.
That's what would have to happen. So they would need a little bit of help, but I mean, with that spread being as low as it is against Arkansas, they really think they've got a
Hey,
shot. This could be. I mean, Alabama's been one of the luckiest teams in America the last 15 years. So I'm not going to say that this is completely out of bounds. And LSU could still lose another game that's not Arkansas. I'm not going to bet on that, but that could happen. Um, but this is probably the week it's going to have to if Alabama's going to have a shot. Um, Moving on, Louisville is on the road against number 10 Clemson. Uh, I kind of like the Cardinals in this, the way Clemson's quarterback play is, and Louisville already forced my boy Sam Hartman into 6 picks 2 weeks ago. I mean, this defense is turnover hungry, and the way DJ and Cade Klubnik are playing is not good. Will Shipley is a good running back, but he's not great. Um, I don't know if I would take Clemson in this game. Um, I guarantee you that Vegas is taking Clemson in this game for sure, um, by 7. But I think the Cardinals are gonna keep it close there. Any thoughts on that game at all?
it's it's tough to talk good for Clemson, but I think
Yeah.
they win this week.
All right. I
I think
mean,
they,
I
yeah, I think
no,
they win
I
this
I
week,
have I mean I wouldn't bet on this game with a 10 foot. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it. But
yeah, I like Dabo. I like
yeah.
Dabo. I think
I
he's
mean,
got a
and they're
good game
and they're
plan.
at home. Yeah, and they're at home. So I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of like that spot for them. Um, Iowa State travels on the road for a blackout game against Oklahoma State. I got Oklahoma State winning if Spencer Sanders plays.
Ooh.
Um,
Yeah, of course, of course.
um, Nothing really the rest of the afternoon until nighttime. Georgia will play Mississippi State. Mike Leach looking to try to upset the number 1 team in the country. Don't think that's going to happen. Um, I don't know what the spread is on that game. I think that's a pretty big spread.
Well, Michael,
Georgia's a 16-point favorite, so not huge but respectable. Um, this is the game for me this week. Number 25 Washington traveling to Autzen Stadium to take on the 6th-ranked Oregon Ducks. Um, Washington's been playing a little better. Our defense is still mid. I think we win this game, but I don't think it's pretty. We're favored by double digits, but I don't like that. I think we probably escape with a win unless they turn the ball over late or something. Washington's kind of been scary. I don't know what you think about this game at all.
I got your Ducks for sure. I mean, I think Bo Nix, everybody, defense, everybody's looking good. So
I hope so. I think
I want the Ducks to win the. Here's what I want the final rankings to be a little early, but Georgia, of course, Ohio State 2, TCU 3, and your Ducks 4. I would love to watch that.
Yeah, the rematch of Georgia and Oregon. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would like a little. I'd like a little
you
bit of
get that
redemption.
game. You get that game because it's like that was early in the season, and yeah, y'all got blown out, but y'all are such a better team now.
That's what
So
I mean, that's what I was saying. I mean, I've
you
been saying
get
it all
that.
season. I mean, I thought that game was kind of set up for us to fail to an extent.
Yeah. You guys
Uh,
get that rematch, and then we get TCU and Ohio State. Like that's a good game.
yeah, it would be because I think that those teams are kind of. I mean, I hate to say it, kind of even. The quarterback play definitely, I would still lean to Ohio State a little bit, even as bad as he played last week. I really do think the weather had a lot to do with that. But I think that would be a good game to watch.
Be a
Another
great playoff.
Yeah, another game at 6 o'clock. Kansas State traveling down to Waco to play Baylor. Kansas State still ranked. Baylor not ranked. Baylor is favored in this game by 2.5, and I kind of like the Bears here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Is it still the backup quarterback there for Kansas?
Will Howard? Yeah, I don't know.
Or Bean? Bean or whatever?
Oh no, it's Kansas State. Kansas State is traveling to go
Oh,
play
Kansas State,
Baylor.
sorry.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought you said Kansas.
yeah. I don't.
Okay, I mean,
Kansas plays Texas Tech this weekend,
okay,
in
okay.
Lubbock. So I mean
In
that's
Lubbock, okay.
yeah. So I mean those, but yeah, Kansas State's traveling to Waco to play Baylor. Baylor favored over the Wildcats.
Oh. Yeah, I like that pick. Baylor. That's gonna be a good one. I
Yeah,
gotta tune in. That's a good game.
yeah.
That should be a good game. I like it close, and I can see Baylor pulling it out.
And then here's the game that we're all interested in this weekend. College game day will be down in Austin for this one. Number 18 Texas playing number 4 TCU at home. The Longhorns are favored in this game. I don't know if the line has moved. It has moved down half a point. They're only favored by 7 now instead of 7.5. Um, what is what's your thoughts on this? I got the Longhorns all day long.
Go Frogs!
Get out of
This is
here.
not this is not horns up or down. This is Go Frogs!
Yeah,
Go
I'm
Frogs! Go Frogs! Go Frogs!
I look,
Frogs can't lose this week. They can't lose this week. It's been such a good season. You gotta think at the beginning of the season, we thought TCU was gonna be a mid
yep.
Big 12 team,
Yeah.
maybe in
We
the
thought
upper,
we thought
maybe
4 or
maybe in the
5.
upper part.
We thought
Yeah,
4 or
maybe in the
5.
maybe in the little upper part, but we thought they were more mid if anything.
Mhm.
Like, we had no idea. And then I mean TCU this season so far. I mean they've had a little up and down, a little closer games in the fourth quarter, but I mean hey, the Big 12 is not a bad conference. I mean,
No. And that's
they're
kind of a
playing.
bad thing. No, and the reason is that's
Yeah,
kind of a bad thing though, because everybody's eating themselves up. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's beating up
yeah,
on everybody, and that
yeah,
eliminates your conference from having somebody get to the playoff in this format. You know, and that's the
yeah.
it's more advantageous to have a top-heavy conference than to be the Big 12. The Big 12 is the best conference in the country. There's no doubt about that because you
Besides the
have
SEC.
no, the SEC is too top heavy. I'm sorry, but you have maybe 4 good teams there. You've got Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, and fucking LSU. Like that's it. Like you can throw it Ole Miss in there, but I think Kansas State could beat Ole Miss. I think Baylor could beat Ole Miss. We're about to see
Yeah.
Alabama probably blow the doors off of Lane Kiffin again. Like I mean, it's probably gonna happen. So I mean, I just think that when you have a conference like the Big 12, yeah, we didn't think TCU would be here. We thought 4 or 5, in that middle of the pack, right? Like that's what we thought because we thought OSU is going to be really, really good. OU's still going to be pretty
OU.
decent. Texas is still going to be probably that third best team. OU's probably going to take care of them, and so is OSU, so they're going to be third. Baylor.
Baylor.
Baylor was in the conversation to being the number 1 or number 2 team in this conference, and they shit the
Literally.
bed. I mean, has TCU benefited from teams not living up to expectations more than being good? That's the question that comes into this week. Because I think, personally, that TCU has benefited from other teams sucking eggs when it's convenient for TCU. And I think that Texas has the opposite, where they played with their backup quarterback for like 4 straight weeks, right? You lose to Texas Tech, you lose to Alabama with Hudson Card, and then here comes Quinn Ewers back into the action, loses to Oklahoma State for his first ever road game as a quarterback, which I don't blame him at all. And Texas should have won that game. I'll go ahead and say it. They should have won that game. They just shit the bed. So, I mean, I think that this is prime for Texas is on the upswing, and TCU is kind of on a downswing here. You can't have 4 games in a row where you're trailing going into the fourth quarter. So I like the spot for Texas. This is Texas's game to win, served on a silver platter at home against a crowd that's going to be literally lit the fuck up. I just don't see how TCU overcomes this if they go down early like they have the last 4 weeks. If they are down by 17 to Texas, it's over. I don't care if it's a second quarter, it's dunzo. Enzo Dunzo. Texas is not letting you come back. I don't know how you feel about that, but if they start slow like they have the last 4 weeks, TCU's done.
Fair enough. I like your takeaway for the game. I just think you're taking a little credit away from what TCU has done this season. They have the numbers for the Big 12. They've been playing the best offense in the Big 12. Their defense has been pretty solid. I don't think they have the best defense, but I just think TCU here is just a solid team, top of the country, obviously ranked um, by the committee. But I mean, just football wise, they get it done week in, week out, and they keep winning. They keep scoring. They keep winning. They keep finding a way. And I mean, I think they have a good head coach. I think they have a good offense. Obviously, Max Duggan for Heisman. I think if their defense can start playing a little bit better, they'll have a chance this year to win the whole thing. Hopefully, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, good combo. I think both sides of that debate are valid. I think mine's valid and yours from your perspective. I like that as well. Last game we're going to talk about, just because of the spread's kind of surprising on this. North Carolina, number 15 ranked team in the country, going on the road to play the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons favored by 3.5, despite losing the last 2 out of their 3 games. North Carolina has not been playing well defensively. I can see why Wake Forest is favored. Sam Hartman has been playing good numbers-wise. They had that terrible game against Louisville where he had 6 turnovers by himself. But other than that, like, he's been playing decent. I mean, they lost last week to NC State. That was a ranked team. They were both ranked. Now they've fallen out of the rankings. And again, North Carolina only with 1 loss, barely scraping by Virginia over the weekend. Can you see North Carolina losing this game, or do you think Wake Forest is just in a hole where they can't climb out of, even though they're favored?
They're favored, yeah. Because I was gonna say I think Wake Forest might actually win this one, but
they're favored by 3.5.
Okay, North Carolina, I could also see them winning too. So I mean, it just really depends on Sam Hartman. I don't really know what type of game he's gonna have, but I think if he plays well, I think Wake Forest actually will take care of business here.
Yeah, I mean, Drake May has also been playing great at quarterback for the Tar Heels. It's just the defense for the Tar Heels is very sussy, and I think it's kind of. I mean, I don't know if there could be 2 more evenly matched teams on paper. To be brutally honest, I mean, both of these teams don't scream world beaters to me, but they don't scream garbage can to me either. They have the talent to punch each other back and forth for 4 straight quarters. This game last year had a combined total of like 97 points. It was like 56 to 49 or something was the final last year, and that was in North Carolina. I did that game last year, and it was one of the best games that I called last season, entertainment wise, because there were so many points and it was just back and forth. I just think this could be 2.0. This could be the same thing, only Wake Forest is at home. Maybe they win this time. I don't know. But yeah. Mac Brown's got UNC in a position where they could sneak into the college football playoff too. So, I mean, I know they're sitting at 15 right now, and they're going to need some help. But they've only lost 1 game this season, and with Clemson losing as bad as they did to Notre Dame, it would be really hard for me not to pick North Carolina to beat Clemson in the ACC championship game if it came down to it.
Yeah, I would love to see that. That'd be good.
So that's kind of your Week 11 preview. All the other ranked teams are against teams that should just get blown out. I'm not even going to mention them. Not even worth it. In my opinion, if I'm wrong, roast us on Twitter, please roast us. On the YouTube comments, roast us. But let's get into this real quick.
Roast us.
S0ner Sportsbook time. It's your favorite time of the stream. So, last week did not go well for Cole Murphy. He went 1-4. He lost a lot of money. He lost $200, which is a lot for him because he was betting like $50 a game, except for that Tennessee game where he dropped a Benjamin and lost that one pretty quickly. I went 3-2. I picked Tennessee. We both picked Tennessee to win or cover. That didn't happen. I picked Alabama to cover. That sure as shit didn't happen. I picked Texas to beat Kansas State. That happened. He picked the other side, so tough nipples on that. We both picked Notre Dame to win, so that was our big winner over the weekend. I took Baylor. He took OU in that one and kind of got bit in the behind there. Baylor gets the win there by 3. So overall, record-wise, got it pulled up here as well. Overall on the season, we are looking at, drum roll please. I am at 32-17, and Cole Murphy is 28-21. So still several games above 500. You are winning. Yeah, you are winning. You are winning. Bad weekends are not weekends that we take lightly. So we like to come back fired up. So let's start off. What do we want to start off with this week on our picks? I'm gonna go ahead and just put the TCU Texas game on here because again, Texas is favored by 7 there. I'm guessing you're taking the Frogs.
Of course.
You got 250 to play with. How much are we putting on that one?
50.
50. Okay. Are you gonna do 50 all the way down? Because that would be 250.
Oh, it would be?
Yeah. Because you got 5 games, $50 a piece. Or is that what you're going for this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I'll just put 50 all the way down with all your games this week. That way we could get that out of the way. All right, so you're taking TCU plus the 7, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to take Texas minus 7. And you know what? I'm going to put $1,000 on it.
Woo!
Which it leaves me with $25 per game the rest of the way. But hey, go big or go home, and I don't know if I've been more confident about a pick all season.
That's out for Texas.
The money is in the bag, folks. Don't listen to Cole Murphy. The Texas Longhorns have this. Matthew McConaughey will be in attendance. It'll be great. Second game. I'm looking here. Do we want to do... Boy. You want to do the OU game?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the OU game.
That's nice. West Virginia. No,
so you're picking OU minus the 7.5 against West Virginia, and I agree with you. I don't. If West Virginia wins this game, it'll be by a field goal. I think OU has, as you said, in a good spot. So I'll put 25 on the Sooners to get it done. Cole Murphy doubles me up and puts 50 on it. For the third game, do we want to do... Colorado USC. USC is favored by 34.5. It's a huge spread there, but Colorado's terrible.
Ducks. I was gonna say Colorado's horrible. It's USC all the way.
Missouri, Tennessee. Tennessee's a 20-point favorite against Missouri.
So we go to that Arkansas game.
Oh yeah, let's do the Arkansas LSU. Holy crap, Big Thunder. I'm picking Arkansas plus the 3.5. I like the Razorbacks this week. I don't know why I have faith in them this week, but I think looking at that schedule and looking at what they've done and how they've lost games, I think they're looking for redemption after losing to Liberty. Give me the Angry Pigs. Your thoughts?
I'm gonna go opposite here.
Okay.
So,
LSU minus the 3.5.
I don't disagree with your pick, but
you just think that LSU's gonna win by 7 or something. You're like give him a touchdown. Yeah. This is one of those games where I'm happy taking this L because I feel like it's really a toss up. No, it's really a toss up. I feel like it's kind of you get fucked either way, really.
Taking the L.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad taking that L. But Alabama needs it, and I picked Alabama to win it all. No, I'm just kidding. Um, uh, let's okay. So Alabama Ole Miss, that's another ranked game. Let's go ahead and speaking of Bama, let's go ahead and do that one. Alabama an 11.5 point favorite. You got Bama in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Bama here.
Yeah, I am too. I'm taking Bama minus the 11.5. I think Nick Saban's gonna have those boys ready. And for the
Oh, of course.
last game, oh boy, hey, listen to this spread. Iowa
How
State
about
is
that?
Iowa
Yeah, I was gonna say, how about the OSU Iowa State game?
Iowa State's favored by a point.
Yeah, I like that spread. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go with OSU here, but
Okay,
I can see why they would pick the spread because it's at home. But Iowa State doesn't have a team like that. If it would have been the Iowa State from a year ago, I would pick Iowa State. But we're talking about a
correct.
new Iowa State. All
And
these people graduated,
yeah,
so
and this is as close as a pick 'em as you
Sanders,
can get. And
Sanders is back, right?
he should be. I know no word on if he is or not, but in my opinion, I don't think it matters.
If
Um,
he's not back, if he's not back, give me Iowa State. But if he is back, I'll take OSU.
let
That's
me
not
let's check. Let's let's go ahead and check and see if ESPN has anything on this because um
like
you're kind of fading in and
like
out, bud. Give it a second.
okay.
All right, now go ahead. Say what you're saying.
No, I was saying we're talking about Spencer Sanders and a third string, or maybe even a scared second string. So I'm just like, yeah, if that second or third string's in there, I got Iowa State probably.
I'm I'm looking to see if they've had anything drop here. Let's see, I have to go. I'm gonna have to go to the roster because I don't see anything on like the front page is like, oh, Spencer Sanders, the
Could I
Sandman.
could ask my boy CJ. He plays for
As
the
far as
OSU.
ESPN is concerned, he is listed as active. Um, he's not listed as being out. Let's see what news we have. That's Gunnar Gundy. Get the fuck out of here. I clicked on Spencer Sanders and this motherfucker sent me to Gunnar Gundy's page. I know Gunnar Gundy is active. I know Gunnar Gundy is active. And my Gundy was like, I'm not playing my son. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting him in a game where we're just gonna get fucking rocked. All right, here we go. Spencer Sanders. Is he going to play this week? Is he out? Is he listed as active? Okay, listed as active.
He should
Dude,
have played his son because, like, what if his son did good? Like that gives like a really good hope for OSU for next year. Because Sanders is gone after this year. So, like, what if his son comes in and beats him? It's like, oh, we want to be good next year.
uh,
OSU needs a quarterback.
all right, let's see. Oh God, he's not. He's
What?
not. He's not playing.
Oh, he's not playing.
Oklahoma State quarterback Spencer Sanders underwent surgery Monday to repair his injured thumb and will not
Ooh.
return during the regular season. Sanders was removed in the third quarter of OSU's 31-13 win over Kansas last week. When is this? When is that article from? Wait a minute. They didn't win. They didn't beat Kansas. This is old. Old. Never mind. This is. I was like, that's last year. I was like, wait a minute. Oklahoma State quarterback has been battling a shoulder injury for a couple of weeks. Rumors are potentially. Uh, wait, I didn't expect this. Texas. We already knew he played against Texas, so I guess he's gonna play. I don't know. Science, Gundy said he was not going to talk about any injuries with anybody when asked by the media after the loss to Kansas. Um, I mean, it's a toss up. It looks like it's going to be like a game time decision here. So we'll see. But I like Oklahoma State regardless. I think that if anytime you have a third stringer throw for 300 yards, it puts you in a good position. He just made some couple of errors early that kind of put OSU in a hole, and it's hard to do comebacks with backup quarterbacks. I think everybody kind of knows that. So I think that's kind of where we're at with that. But yeah, that's the Stoner Sportsbook recap. So let's get into this. Ohio
Brought to you
State.
by Ballscape.
Yeah, best a man can scrape. Whenever you want that feeling of your scrotum being slammed in the passenger side door of a mid-sized sedan, it is Ballscaped. Get your monthly subscription, promo code STONER with a 0. Get that 69% off your first order. Look, I mean, this is a big week for both Michigan and Ohio State. They don't play each other this week. We know that. Michigan's got Nebraska. Ohio State, I don't think, is even playing this week. But Michigan still has to play Illinois after Nebraska. Of course, Illinois is ranked. They have yet to fall into the depths of despair. They have, I believe, Purdue this weekend. So we'll see how well that goes for them. Look, I mean, which of these teams... I mean, are we talking about winner goes to the playoff type conversation here?
Oh, definitely.
Because
that dropped. Wait, because they have to play. That is they don't have a championship for their conference.
yeah, they do.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they do. Big Ten's got.
They're on two different sides, right?
They are on the same side, I believe. I could check. I could check real quick. Look, conference stuff is kind of fucked, and I'm just waiting for super conferences, to be honest, because it's just the way things have changed so drastically in these last 5 years. Let's look here. They're on the same side. They're on the same side. So it'll also be for a trip to go play Illinois for the Big Ten championship game. So winner will get Illinois in the conference championship game, and winner will probably also go to the college football playoff. Now, right now, Ohio State sits at 2 and Michigan sits at 3 right now in the college football playoff. And if they were to play, when they're supposed to at that 2-3 spot, a lot of questions swirling whether or not to just switch them. And have Michigan, if they win, be number 2. And if Ohio State wins, maybe only drop Michigan down to 4. But that would take TCU losing to Texas this weekend. And I think that would also take Oregon losing in their conference championship game against what looks like USC. And you would also probably have to have LSU lose this weekend against Arkansas to solidify that scenario. So, could something like this happen? Absolutely. But I would think that it would really be hard not to pick a 2-loss Alabama team over a 1-loss Michigan team. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the right takeaway there.
Yeah, because I mean, because you're talking about strength of schedule argument, right? Alabama lost 2 games, but they lost to LSU and Tennessee, which are 2 respectable teams that are now in the top 10. So I don't think you can really knock them for that. And you look at Michigan, they haven't played anybody all season, and then they play Ohio State and lose. That doesn't really look good for you if you're Michigan. Now, if you're Ohio State and you lose this game, how far do you fall? I guess that's my question to you. You're at 2, you lose to the 3 seed. Where do you fall here? Down to 4? Out completely to 5? And have Tennessee back in the conversation at 4? What do you do here?
Yeah, it would bring Michigan to 2. It would bring, if TCU won, it would bring them to 3, and then it would bring Tennessee back to 4, and it would put Ohio State at 5. It'd have to.
But here's my question to you. If Oregon wins out and wins the Pac-12, do they jump Tennessee? Because Tennessee wouldn't be in the SEC championship game that week. They would be off.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oregon would, Oregon would be
4.
Oregon would be 4. Wow.
Yeah,
Oregon would be 4.
Yeah, if that were to happen, if Ohio State loses, I think that could be the scenario. Now, obviously, the other caveat of that is if USC beats Oregon, then you have them in there instead at that 4 spot, right? Or do you take a 2-loss Alabama team over a 1-loss USC team who lost by 1 point to Utah?
Yeah, that's where the committee. That's where that's where we would find out from the committee. Because my opinion, I don't know. I would put Bama, but you would probably get a lot of upset people. Like, but that's just because I don't think the Pac-12 is near as good as the SEC. Like, that's my SEC bias.
Yeah, no, I mean, because I would have a hard time picking USC to be in that 4 spot, even if they beat Oregon, right? Oregon would have 2 losses, so they would obviously be done. USC would only have 1 loss, and it would be to Oregon. Now they still have to play UCLA, so none of this could matter, right? I mean, because I feel like UCLA could beat them easily, and
Yeah,
they're sitting there at that 12 spot. They would need a lot more help to get there. But they've only got 1 loss as well. So, I mean, a lot of these teams for the Pac 12, the problem with UCLA really is that they lost to Oregon. That's the problem. So, even if they beat USC, you're still looking at Oregon going to the Pac 12 championship and not you. You would need Oregon to lose to Washington in order to maybe, and it wouldn't even matter then because Oregon has the tiebreaker over you and you would both have 1 loss on your side of the Pac 12. So I think having UCLA at 12 is smart because I think they're done. Even if they beat USC, they're done. I don't think they can find their way into that conversation anymore. So I think the last team you have possible to make it is Ole Miss. And the only reason you have Ole Miss in the conversation is because if they beat Alabama this weekend and then they go and they beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, you've got a whole slew of problems to try to figure out there. Um, with
it
with
could get crazy, folks.
with Clemson at the 10 spot, you're going to need a lot more help, right? Because you're
Yeah,
going to need to convince me that a win over North Carolina in the ACC championship game is more important than a loss to an unranked Notre Dame team that lost to Marshall and lost to God knows who else. They're just bad. So I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if you can have uh, Clemson in the conversation, especially if everything Ole Miss needs to do to be in the conversation happens. I think you would have to put Ole Miss ahead of Clemson. But I think realistically, right now, you're looking at least 9 teams right now that have a chance of getting in the conversation for the college football playoff, and I think that's 1 through 9. I think that's kind of where you're looking. I think 10 is kind of where it stops. You can make an argument, as I said, for Ole Miss, but they're going to need a hell of a lot of help. Um, so that's at least my theory on that. Um, so let's go ahead and re-rank them. Um, for me, I don't really have a lot of problems. I think Georgia is number 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan at 3 because they just don't have anything to say no to about that. I really want to put TCU ahead of Michigan because I think if they played on a neutral field, TCU would win that game. Because I'm really just not high on Michigan as a team. I think that they've done enough to win the games they've played, but who the fuck have they played? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, so I have TCU. I'm gonna put TCU at my 3 spot and put Michigan at my
Fair
4
enough.
spot just because of strength of schedule. That's the only reason why. Um, I still like Oregon at 5 instead of Tennessee, just because they have a
Ooh,
clearer they have a clearer path to making the playoff than Tennessee does. Um, so I would have Oregon at 5, Tennessee at 6, LSU at 7. I would put Alabama at 8 and then put USC at 9 instead, just because I'm still
oh wow,
hesitant. I'm
a
still
two loss,
hesitant
a
on
two loss
US.
Bama
Yeah, because I just don't think that
over
defense the
a
defense
one
is
loss.
trash. Look at the close games that they've had against teams that haven't scored any points against Oregon. You almost lost to Arizona, almost lost to Arizona State. I mean, you're barely scraping by teams that other teams have just shoved to the side like no problem. Cal was hanging in there with USC for the longest time last week. I mean, Cal, for the love of Christ, Cal.
Yeah,
It's just you can't have games like that. And as I said, Alabama's 2 losses are against really good teams. At least right now, they say really good teams. So I think having Alabama ahead of USC not crazy. 10 spot, give me Ole Miss over Clemson all day long. 1 loss Ole Miss definitely better than 1 loss Clemson. You cannot convince me otherwise. I think that Ole Miss would just kill Clemson. Um, I mean, it's hard for me to not put UCLA above Ole Miss just because I think they're more talented than Ole Miss, but just the way that the season is shaken out for the Bruins, I just don't. I think that's right. So I think that I would have Clemson at 11 and Ole Miss at my 10 instead. So I'd have Ole Miss, USC, Alabama, uh, LSU, Tennessee, Oregon, Michigan, TCU, Ohio State, Georgia. What's your top 10?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh, you're cutting out. Start over.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. Oh, never mind. Don't go ahead. Start again. It's really bad right now.
Oh, it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it sounds a little muffled. Keep waiting a minute.
Okay. Just let me know
I guess go for it. Go ahead and try.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, but I was saying I like your perspective there. Like I see why you moved things around and did it that way. Mine's a little bit not moving too much around, just a
Yeah.
little bit. Uh, I like, of course, Georgia won. No reason. I mean, obvious reason there. Undefeated SEC. They beat, of course, Tennessee last week. So Georgia won. I got Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU 4, of course. 5, I like Tennessee just because I mean they lost to Georgia, only lost, and they beat
Hmm.
Bama. So keep them there at 5. I still like them in the playoff. I really hope they make it. 6, I like Oregon. Uh, 7, USC. Uh, 8, Ole Miss. 9, Alabama. 10, Ole Miss. Or 10. What am I thinking of?
LSU.
LSU. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, so you have LSU dropping behind Ole Miss. That's kind of the only real shakeup there. What's your thought process behind Ole Miss over LSU?
I just think they have a better team, and uh, I mean they do have that big Bama win, but I mean I think Ole Miss would beat them still. So
So go
I'm
Hogs
pretty
this
sure.
weekend. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah,
I mean,
possibly.
I know you're not picking them to win, but I mean, like, I mean, that's what you would need to have in order for Ole Miss to jump, and you'd have to have Ole Miss beat Alabama this weekend also. So I
Yeah.
mean, so I don't know. I mean, I like that right now, but how is it going to hold up next week? Probably wouldn't because
Ole
you probably
Miss.
had. I mean, you got to hope they win. You picked Alabama to cover, so it doesn't look like you're having much faith in Ole Miss to get at that 8th spot. But I mean, they're going to need help. So, but yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. So let's move on here. We're just over the 1 hour mark here. Let's go ahead and hit up men's college basketball. Got underway this weekend. Had some teams in action with some exhibition games. Not a lot of uh, not a lot of updates as far as uh, rankings go because we still haven't finished the first week of games yet, technically. Um, no top 25 records or anything have been updated. Um, not really a lot to really go on. Um, I was
Ready for
thinking,
March Madness?
yeah, right. Like, here's some conversation for you. Do you think that we should just start college basketball in January and just scrub it from having to compete with college football and the NFL for TV time? Should we just not play
Wait,
any games
yeah.
until January and just front load January and February with those 30 games? Have a team play 2 games a week. Um, and just no off weeks, and have those 30 games played out in 2 months, and then go straight into March Madness during spring break. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's something that the NCAA should look at, or you think the format that we have it in now is good enough?
They probably won't change it, but I mean
Yeah,
I think maybe I would push it back to start games in December. That way you don't have to play 2 a week. But I would start in December and try and knock those out. And then of course you might have an off week due to weather maybe. So December start, and that should be good by March Madness instead of starting because they started in October
we well November. We start we
or
well
November.
Yeah, we
November.
started the first week in November this year. So
Yeah, I would just push it back a month
yeah, just move it back to December. Yeah.
because yeah, it's busy right now with everything. There's too much going on.
All right. Let's talk a little bit of NBA here. I'm looking at conference standings right now. The Lakers, are 2-9 on the season now. Um, Trying to find anything that works. Um, Milwaukee leads the Eastern Conference at 10-1. Utah leads the Western Conference at 10-3. Cleveland is right behind Milwaukee at 8-3. Uh, and then you have uh, the Portland Trailblazers and the Denver Nuggets on the western side, right underneath the Suns at that 2 spot. The West kind of, shaping out to be kind of what it is. The Thunder record right now tied with Golden State's record at 4-7. Um, any surprises other than really that, and maybe the Cleveland Cavaliers making some noise?
Hey, SGA is a beast, and we need to get him to sit out the rest of the season because if he's in, we might have a chance to win.
Yeah, we might be picking up that 10 spot from Minnesota. We're only 1 game behind a play-in game, which is not where we want to be. But yeah, I think this team has a lot more fight in it. They almost won last night in double overtime against Milwaukee. Of course, Milwaukee sat all of their starters. Giannis sat, Drew Holiday sat, Middleton sat. It was all their second, third team guys, but it took Milwaukee still 2 overtimes to dispose of the Thunder, who were playing with their starters for most of the time. So, I mean, it looks good for the Thunder moving forward. Here's my question to you. How big of trouble are the Nets in, being 5-7? Will Kyrie ever play for the Nets this season again? And are the Lakers cooked?
Kyrie needs to stop what he's doing and just I don't know what the hell he's doing, but
Say it again for me. I couldn't hear you.
yeah, I don't know what Kyrie is doing exactly. He needs to stop. As far as sure, great, but I don't think the team is getting it done. So, and what was that last one? The Knicks.
Yeah, so Los Angeles is 2-9. The Brooklyn Nets are 5-7, but they're only 1 game out of the playoffs right now. Of course, look, we're talking about the season 12, 13 games in. So we're not really we're only like an eighth of the way through the season. But we can overreact a little bit. But are the Lakers just done? I mean, can we stop thinking that the Lakers have a shot at an NBA title at all this season?
Probably not this year. Yeah, they have no chance this year.
Yeah, I just don't see that having. My Nuggets pick doesn't look terrible. They're sitting there at the 4 spot right now at 8-3. I definitely like them, but I don't like the fact they would have to play Memphis in the first round if the playoffs were to start today. Because Memphis is, they can ball out. On the Eastern side, the Nets, as I said, 5-7, not looking good. What were you saying about Kyrie? I didn't really catch that.
Oh, I was saying I don't know what he's doing. I said Kyrie Irving or Colin Kaepernick. Like he's trying to do like this too much where he gets fired and then can't ever play again. I'm just like, bro, stop doing that.
Yeah, I had a customer come in last night and get super anti-Semitic with me.
Oh, really?
He was so the Nets were playing the Knicks on the TV and he comes in and he was like, what do you think about that Kyrie Irving stuff? And I'm like, he goes, a lot of bullshit, right? And I'm like, well, I was like, he tweeted out a movie that literally says the Holocaust didn't happen 20 minutes into the movie. I don't know if that's really a smart thing to do when you have 3 million followers on Twitter and some of those are kids and stuff. Like you just got to be more responsible than that. And the guy goes, well, I guess you just can't have any fucking retarded ideas either. I mean, just unhinged. Like, and I'm just like, I guess. I mean, the league didn't suspend him. It was just the owner that suspended him. It's an internal issue, and if the owner wouldn't have done anything, I guarantee you the league would have done something. And his wife and his kid are like standing next to him. I'm like, you are whacked out, brother. But I mean, it's just I think that he'll probably play again this season. I just don't see how you keep him off the floor unless you really want to make this into a huge deal. It's a big deal. I'm not saying it's not, because I know that you can't have conspiracy theories like that literally are denying the death of like 6 to 8 million people. Like, I just think that that's disgusting. And I think that you need to, lay that off the table. Can we admit that a lot of Jewish people have a lot of money and they control a lot of things? Yeah, but I mean, I think it boils down to rich people are dicks more than just these specific rich people are dicks. It just happens that more of these rich people are of the Jewish, uh, ethnicity slash religion, whatever you want to call it. So I think that that's definitely, I think the Nets did the right thing. You got to do something to try to, get his head on straight. But Kyrie's almost going full Kanye, and I don't really know
Yeah.
how to handle it from a perspective of he's a really really good basketball player, but some of these things, man, like they can take away from.
Career. The whole
Yeah.
career.
I mean, get vaccinated, dude. I mean, do the right thing. You knew that you weren't gonna play if you weren't gonna get vaccinated last year, and you decided not to because for whatever reason, um, and your team suffered due to it. You obviously saw that Kevin Durant can't carry that team by himself. Um, it's just, I mean, do the Nets make the playoffs? Yes, I think they make the playoffs even without him. Is it going to be a seed higher than 8 or 7? I don't know. Um, just depends on how it shakes out. But that's the NBA as far as right now. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just that Kyrie stuff, really, and then everything else is kind of early to tell. But Kyrie, chill out,
Yeah.
please.
I mean, you can have those opinions. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
saying
keep them to yourself.
it's
Keep
like
them to
saying
yourself.
there's a white player in the league that's just openly saying the N word. Like we know that they probably exist, but it's like they're not gonna go and like tweet like the N word. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean,
Yeah,
like if you're Kyrie Irving, you can say, "Oh, I don't believe the Holocaust is real." Like you can have that opinion. You're fucking crazy, but you can have that opinion. But should you like let that be known to like the public? Like you can let your friends know, you can let your family know. I mean, I just feel like there's a line as a celebrity in general that you can't cross when it comes to just
yeah,
abhorrently crazy opinions like that. And I mean, it's just, don't try to rewrite history. Like we know that it happened. So to tweet out a video link of a movie that 20 minutes in is just like, yeah, the Holocaust didn't even happen, guys. Like I was off the train because I looked at it. I was like, what is this movie? I got Amazon, whatever. I
yeah,
pulled it up and sure enough, there you go. 20 minutes in, and I had to turn it off because you just can't validate anything after that. Like that just statement is so abhorrently non-factual that there's just no way to recover from that. Anything else that the movie says you can't take for granted because they're starting off on such an unhinged opinion. Um,
yeah.
so I mean, whatever. I think he deserved the suspension. I mean, I think he deserves to go get re-educated. They're sending him to go take some classes on Jewish heritage and the religion and kind of the
Wow.
and I think they should because I think it's ridiculous to believe something so crazy. It's not healthy. It's not mentally healthy, and I know he's not the only one that thinks this. A lot of people believe in that conspiracy theory, surprisingly, uh, but it's just not based in reality. And I think it's more concerning for his mental health than anything. And I think something needed to be done, and I'm not against it.
This guy also thinks that the world is flat,
Yeah, I mean, so we already knew he was, but
and we're talking about the same guy.
yeah, but we thought that was like a joke. Like we thought he was like trying to
Oh,
meme,
he's
and
so
then
serious.
he was like dead serious. And we were like, oh, so you are certified bananas? All right, all right. I mean, so was Dennis Rodman. He was bananas, but he was a hell of a player too. But he never got like suspended for doing something crazy.
The
Now,
world is flat.
but now if Dennis Rodman had Twitter back in the day, he might have done some crazy shit. So I can't really, I can't really say anything about that. Um, that's NBA for you. Let's go ahead and get into our locks of the week here and wrap this thing up. Um, my favorite part of the week, locks of the week, yay, yay, locks of the week, yay. So last week, we both went 1-2. We You missed on your Tennessee pick and your Eagles pick. I missed again on my NFL pick, and I missed on my Bama pick. I got the Texas pick right, and you got your TCU pick right. So after that, we are now 12. You are 12-9, and I am 10-11. You have taken the lead after we had been tied 3 episodes ago. So go ahead and give me your 3 this week. Give me your locks this week.
Let me take TCU.
Okay, so TCU minus or
Because
plus,
I have,
plus the
I
7.
have to go against you. Yes, because I have to go against you. Give me. What was the other big one we were talking about?
We have Ole Miss and Alabama.
There was the one after that.
We got let's see, Ole Miss. Here we go. Ole Miss, Alabama, and here it is. I've got LSU and Arkansas, and OU, West Virginia.
I think I'm thinking of LSU, Alabama. Who am I thinking of?
There's Ole Miss in Alabama. That's who's playing.
Yeah, not LSU. Yeah, Ole Miss.
Okay, so Ole Miss, Alabama. You're picking Alabama minus the 11.
Yeah, I like Bama here.
Bama minus the 11 and a half, right? 11 and a half. Bama. Yeah, 11 and a half. All right. For my second college pick, I'm going to go with.
And then the NFL pick.
Give me yeah, I got them right here. I'll list them off here in a second. I'm gonna take Nebraska plus the 30 and a half. Give me Nebraska only losing by 20.
Lock of the week.
Give me Nebraska only losing by 20. Or 28. They'll lose by 28. They won't lose by 30. What?
Casey Thompson's in. I think they will stay within that 30.
It's Smothers. They might be in for one. All right, so NFL. NFL odds. Here we go for week 10. All right, so week 10 odds for the NFL starting today. It is a Thursday. We have the Falcons taking on the Panthers. The Falcons are a 2.5-point favorite there. For Sunday's games, I have the Buccaneers minus 2.5 against the Seahawks. I've got the Giants minus 4 against the Texans. I have the Dolphins minus 3.5 against the Browns. I've got the Chiefs minus 9.5 against the Jags. I've got
I got it. Just Chiefs there all the way.
Okay. All right. I got KC minus 9.5 against Jacksonville. So my picks have been
playing good right now. They're playing good right now.
Yeah, they are. I mean, that was a big win they got against the Titans on Monday night. Didn't hate it. I thought the Titans played really well. Had a chance there. The offense.
Titans should have won.
They just needed Tannehill to play. Tannehill plays, they win that game. I'm not afraid to say that. Let's see. I think I'm gonna go with. Give me the Packers. Give me the Packers.
Aaron.
They are. Give me them plus 4 against the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are playing well, but I think Aaron Rodgers is just. I mean, let's be honest. Green Bay's playing like shit. And I really hope Aaron Rodgers.
Adams back.
Yeah, I really hope Aaron Rodgers loses every game this season. But if they can beat the Cowboys and then lose every game this season, that'd be great too, because I like Cowboy fans freaking out. But yeah, I think that's the pick. So that's that. We'll see how that goes. But I'm sure I'll probably lose that pick because, that's just my luck. But yeah, so wrapping it up here. Any thoughts going into this weekend that you want to get off your chest before we get out of here?
I think it's just one thing. Go TCU.
Oh, hook 'em. Hook 'em. All right. For all of us here, episode 11 wrapped up on the S0ner Sports podcast here. For Cole Murphy, I am Will Warner. And we will see you for episode 12 next week. And Cole?
Keep your stick on the ice.